Okay, let's be honest. I don't think you're going to find a lot of people that are going to disagree with my title. You know what? Screw that with the ending because I'm not in a good mood. I just got finished watching Joker 2 despite my reservations of not wanting to see it because, for one, this film never should have been made for reasons I will go into detail more, and everyone is feeling this way. This thing has completely imploded in the box office, having not just a worse opening weekend than the first film that came out like 5 years ago, but having the worst second week drop of a comic book based movie ever. There are so many things wrong with this film, and the reason I felt the need to have to actually go see this film, despite the fact that I didn't want to see it because I thought it was a bad idea to begin with, after everything we were hearing, was I'm a firm believer that you should not have the right to criticize something until you experience it yourself. So that is the only reason I went through with this process. Now again, if you do happen to enjoy this video by the end, please do not forget to like, share, and subscribe to track me on all my future videos. Remember, if you guys have any ideas for any future rankings or reviews or discussions or rants, just let me know what the hell you want to see and I'll get it up as soon as I'm ready. But I'm just in such a pissed off mood because I've never seen a film that went out of its way to piss off its own audience for the sake of one man's ego. Now, if you guys want my quick review of what I thought about this film, let's get the positives ones out of the way. Performance-wise, I think everyone did an okay job. No one had an amazing or outstanding performance. I think Joaquin Phoenix brought the same level of energy that he did in the first film. Nothing too different, but a little bit more pathetic. I think Lady Gaga, as this version of Harley Quinn, I think she's a reasonable singer and a reasonable actress. However, I felt like she was not given not only too much to do, but she was severely underused. There is not as much of her in this film as you would hope. She's not as on par with Joaquin Phoenix as you would expect, as I thought many people would think. And she's not really used very effectively. She's only in like a few cute, like, normal scenes that are somewhat memorable, but it's really not enough given the length of this film. The musical sections are a complete waste of time. I'm not a fan of musics in general unless it's like an old school Renaissance Disney movie, and they don't really do anything. I mean, the movie will literally stop for no damn reason and go into a random song. Some of these songs I've never heard of, some of them I have heard of, but like they're not sung very well, or they're not sung in a way that actually, in my opinion, actually progressed the story or add anything. It's just the movie just stopped and felt like having a song. And I'm just like, you could cut out 40 minutes of this film and almost nothing would change. I think those locations are very diverse. It really only comes between a few like set locations for singing sessions and Arkham and the court and a courthouse and a courtroom. Like there's not a great deal of variety in locations. I will say that this film was beautifully shot. Like, from someone who's very interested in cinematography and how a film is actually visually seen, I think this film was absolutely gorgeous to see it. Now, again, I didn't see this in IMAX, but I could probably tell if you did see this in IMAX, it's a gorgeous looking film. So there was a lot of solid technical work. But in terms of the script and what the film was trying to do, it was clear that this entire film was just made for the wrong reasons. And it's clear that Warner Brothers has to take some responsibility for why this film failed the way it did. It was clear that after the massive success of the first Joker film, which I absolutely loved, it was easily the best film that I saw that year, that Warner Brothers wanted to do something more like it. They wanted to continue that. So they got greedy, and they probably went to Todd Phillips, offered him a big bag of money, even though he probably didn't want to make a Joker 2. And he's thinking, well, I wasn't really a fan of how people saw my film, even though it was very successful and it made a lot of money. So I tell you what, you pay me enough money and I will make the movie that I want to make with total control, and Warner Brothers has no say. And Warner Brothers opened up their checkbook, gave him all this money, which I can't even see where it went to. It probably went to paying some of the actors and maybe some of the sets, but I'm not seeing $200 million worth of budget in this film. And it's just ridiculous because the entire purpose of this film is that he went out of his way to completely dismantle the Joker characters that we were building for an entire film. What I really liked about the first film was that it was something that I kind of understood, in the sense that Arthur was a character who very much was a victim of the circumstances that he was forced to develop in. And though he did kill people, I felt like his kills were more of reactions. As Rambo famously said in like the fourth Rambo film, that when someone is pushed, killing is just as easy as breathing. And that was very much on display in the first one. I felt like a lot of his kills were either self-defense or they were more reaction. I don't think that Arthur is inherently an awful person. He is someone who has simply been a victim of everything that happened to him, and he simply reacts immediately. And sometimes those reactions have horrible consequences to anyone who's around him. And that is why I don't like to connect with him, because I don't want to see myself as being that kind of person, but I understand that we are all capable of doing terrible things when we've just had enough. You push us enough, you stress us out enough, and anything is possible. Anything can happen. We're all capable of doing horrible things, and that was the message that I absolutely loved about that first Joker film, and that Arthur elevated himself into being something he never thought he could be. That people in Gotham, as crazy as it was, connected to. Now again, they were afraid that people were just going to go crazy and start killing people, but I think all of us were sensible enough that we knew things were never going to go that far. But it was just the reaction that I thought was absolutely incredible, which is why that film, to this day, still stands up. And this film just went out of its way to dismantle everything and just give us a big F you. And it just made no sense. I have never seen a director who would go out of his way to dismantle his own creation just because people enjoyed it. Now, there's all these speculations of, oh, he just wanted to avert expectations, but but again, no one asked for this film. No one asked for this. I do not remember a single person who said, I want a Joker 2. I want to see where the story goes, because I felt like where the story had ended was a fine place for it to say. It could have worked. It easily worked as a one-off story that didn't have to connect. It didn't have to expand it. We didn't have to introduce Batman. We didn't have to introduce all these DC known Batman characters. We didn't have to do that. It was very much a well-crafted, well-acted, well-written story that worked entirely on its own. And you know how difficult that is to do nowadays, because everything wants to be a franchise. Everything wants to have sequels. Everyone wants to make as much money and as milk as much as possible. And I felt that Joker was the one film that they just would not do that to. But I was wrong. And everyone got fooled. The fans got fooled. I got fooled. You got fooled. Warner Brothers got fooled. And it was a complete, utter disaster. While Todd Phillips is laughing his ass off with his millions of dollars, and he got away with it. It's just crazy. It's just like people, it's like what to give him total creative control, meaning that Warner Brothers had no say, or maybe they didn't know what he was up to. Like no one proofread this, and it's just everyone on board was like, okay, I mean, we got paid. It's just a job. No one said, hey, maybe we shouldn't do this. This might piss people off. But again, it's just unfortunate. And it's another example of so many other movies that worked the first time and didn't necessarily need sequels. Now, there have been examples of movies that didn't need sequels that had sequels and they were okay, but they weren't as good as the first one. There are plenty of examples of that. But this one hits harder, because it really was based off of probably one of the most stand-outish, as I would like to say, films that I've seen in the past 10 years. It was a film that really stood out in a positive way. And it didn't need a massive budget to do it. I mean, that was literally one of the best examples of being able to do more and have higher quality with less. Meaning, because we had a smaller budget, we had to work harder to give out a quality film that a lot of people loved. Now, again, there were some people who weren't a fan of it and thought it had some negative messages, but I think most sensible people could understand what Joker was trying to do and loved it for it. And I'm one of those individuals, and I'm sure some of you guys are like that too, but that's not what we got here. And I think moving forward, Warner Brothers really, really needs to get their act together, especially since they're about to start up an entire new series of DC films. They really need to keep their eye on how these films are presented, even though the future for DC films is it's very concerning. All we can do is hope that Warner Brothers learns from this mistake, because they've made a lot of big screw-ups in the recent past, and let's hope that this is as bad as it can get, because boy, this one hurts. But yeah, I mean, that's really all I gotta say. What were you guys' thoughts? What did you think of Joker 2? What was something that you didn't really enjoy? Please, I would love to discuss and share your guys' thoughts with me and everyone else in the comments down below. So yeah, I think I'm gonna go back and rewatch Joker 1 and just ignore that this film ever existed or anything that happened it has any impact, and just enjoy it for what it is. So yeah, I think that's what I'm gonna go do now. So again, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.